Hi, welcome back. How are you? Okay, so we've created these two pieces here. We've got our scaffolding in place. What I want to do now is just create a simple template that I can use a little bit later on. So what I'm going to do here is just go into polygon select, turn off ignore backfacing, and I'm just going to marquee select these pieces here. There is method to my madness, don't worry. Okay, and I'm going to detach them just as a clone. That way they'll still be on the existing piece. And there's a reason for that. Okay, I need them so that I've got my brick levels later on when I need them. So I'll get rid of this. Turn off ignore backfacing again. There we are. And I'll call this brick level. It'll come in handy. Just my own reference. Okay. So don't worry if you don't understand what it's for just yet, but it will be useful. Okay, now you remember the piece we made earlier on. We're going to make use of it now. It's just sitting here doing nothing after all. So I'm going to bring this over here. Okay, and obviously this one's a different scale to this. It's shorter, and these are going to be much lower. So I'm going to use my select to move. Sorry if my voice sounds a little bit growly. There we are. Just bring that down to about there. And for reference, I'll bring over this. That way I'll know which level my bricks are at, so that I'm not making any mistakes that I don't want to make. Tremendous. I can see that that is at the right level, you see, because these will be just underneath here. Now this top piece here I'm going to bring down. To round about there, I think should do it. Maybe a little bit less. About there. Yeah, that seems okay. Okay, so it's lower than this one. So we can see it's definitely a different piece, obviously. Okay, and now we're going to do what we did before, which is, obviously we're going to have our brick levels run into this. I think maybe just a touch higher. And as you can see, we're going to have two brick levels going to this. So I'm going to just go straight through here and do a connect. It's only what's interesting is you can actually do all the stuff I'm doing here just as well, just using the graphite modeling tool set up here. It's just, I'm doing it this way because I tend to work a little bit faster, but if you want to, obviously you've got the graphite modeling tool set and you can do the selecting here and all that kind of thing. So you've got your different edible polys and you ignore backfacing and all that kind of funky stuff, yeah? Anyway, I'm just going to click connect. I'll just hide this away again for the moment. I like the graphite modeling tool set, don't be fooled, I really do. It's just, sometimes it slows down my method of working a little. I tend to use it when I really need to use it. In fact, thinking about it now, if I just turn on again, there we go, and turn on Swift Loop, I can do the same sort of job using Swift Loop as well, as you can see, yeah, which is quite useful for getting these things lined up. There's be one there, just one there, and then if I just loop those, I like Swift Loop a lot. It's one of those amazingly useful tools that until you used it, you just never realize how much easier it's going to make your existence. Again, just through here, Good thing about Swift Loop is as well that, you're able to position it exactly where you want it. There and there, in this case. Oops. Okay, and if this one at the top here is not quite in the right position, I can just bring it down a little bit like that. There. And then it's just a case of going up these. Like so. And I'm going to just ring them. Sorry, loop them. And then inside here I'm going to do a quick extrude. Now again you can see we've got these need to be changed. So down to about 0.11 again. Check the depth on that. Depth looks okay, so I'll just click tick, then chamfer. That looks about right. Click tick again. And as you see, that's separated those off. Now then, I made a cunning mistake a few moments ago in that I didn't just copy this across. I grabbed it, which is a mistake because I need my original one which doesn't have brick lines in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to save this as, and I'm going to save it as a workbench. If you ever find you've done this yourself, then all you need to do is just go over here and we're going to merge in, so import, merge, and we can merge it from our existing file that we were using just before, which is scaffolding. Now give it a moment just to load it up. Now what we want is outer buttress tall 002, which is this one, and it'll ask us if we want to rename it. So I'm going to rename it template buttress, and there it is there. Okay, so now it's part of our scene again and we can use it. Okay, now for this one we need to do the stonework around the bottom, which needs to come out. So we'll do that now. Bit of a stiff neck there. So I'm going to go here and just make it come out on the parts we need it to come out on. Like so. And just hit extrude. And as you know, it makes it a little bit messy at first, but we can straighten this out. There we are. And then this way. As you can see what a difference it makes if I just do it on one. It's really a very, very good way of fixing our model. There we are. And just pull that back. Okay, so again, if I just go to my top viewport, we can see where this is going to go, which is just going to be here. Let's get it roughly into the right position. And once we've created all our various parts, you see, we can start assembling bits in anger. I mean, really when it comes down to it, this model is incredibly simplistic in design. The thing that makes it look more complicated is all these buttresses. And because we're making them modular, we can make this into almost any kind of shape we want anyway. If any of you are fans of good old Bob Ross, you'll remember he always used to say that. You know, this is our world. We can do what we want with it. And you can. Okay, now I'm going to take our buttress template here, and I'm going to rename it Tall Buttress 01, Taller Buttress 01, just so I know it's the taller one. And what I'm going to do here is take off these parts that we made. I tend to take them off a polygon at a time, simply so that I know I'm getting the right ones. Okay, because I don't need, and I'll just isolate this for a moment. Here we go. I don't actually need it to be inset, particularly down this side anyway. Pardon me. So, if I just look at the other pieces here, I didn't especially make this straight. I'm going to keep this archway in anyway. Make sure I've got everything more or less correct before I start smashing it back together again. Okay, and I'm going to go into the interactive bridging tool. There's a bridge there and there. Must apologise for my croaky voice, by the way. I've either got a cold or something remarkably wrong with my throat at the moment. Bridge here. Take this edge, shift and drag. It's an approximation of what I need. Then I can just bridge there to there. Make sure that's not coming out too much. It seems okay actually. Now I can cap the hole here and here. It is coming out a little bit far actually. Bring it a little bit. There we are. Don't want to bring it in too much, just a little bit. Okay, next. This part I'm going to come in. I think probably just a little bit here. Now if I bring this in, the angle is going to change here, so I've got to be careful. Because as you can see, this is all now moved. So what I'll need to do is grab these bottom ones, just fix that, and then obviously I'll need to fix this one as well. Better make sure I grab them all. There we are. Just change to a side-on view here, just because I can obviously get it a little bit more exact. There we are, just to shorten this a bit. Doesn't look quite right still, does it? I prefer getting them right if I can, kind of first time, so let's go back into it again. Isolate selection. Hang on, is this even the right one? I think there's another one in front of it, isn't there? Yeah. That's not the one I was working on. That's the template buttress. This is the taller buttress. No wonder I couldn't see it. No, that looks fine. Perspective zoom. Now I need to bring the actual overflow here right up. So I'm going to bring it to about here. Like so. And let's exit isolation mode. And I need to make it taller. Yeah, about that tall should do. Let's just move this one out of the way for the moment. And just check our piece. Yeah, that looks fine. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is move this nearer to where I'm going to want it. And I'm going to move our brick template across. Just so that I know that I'm going to have the bricks at the right level. I'm not using layers, incidentally. You might be wondering why I'm not. I'm not using layers simply because I don't really need to at the moment. It's not really a project that I need to be using them in. Okay, I'm going to bring this up just a touch more. Not too much, obviously it will start to intersect, but about there should do it. And now I can start running brick patterns underneath it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make the top one and the bottom one, and then I can just use Swift Loop to create the rest. So just a quick ring, connect, and just flatten it out. Like so. Good thing about this is, I mean, we can put as much or as little detail as we want. These are literally modules, so our entire building is being made out of modules, and we can change the design fundamentally as much as we want as we go along, which is cool. Okay, next. Well, this is straight anyway, so I can just Swift Loop all the brick patterns all the way down. So if I just go straight into Swift Loop, sorry, just scratching my back furtively. There we are. So I can go kind of here and here, 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 and here. And that creates our brick patterns. Maybe one more just at the top here. Okay. And then I can just go and click out a Swift Loop because I don't want to keep creating them. Because it will. It's really useful as well, and you'll find yourself horribly addicted to it in no time. Okay, and loop. Okay, extrude. I really enjoy it, you know, doing this kind of thing. It's fun. I think if you're not having fun when you're doing 3D work, you really probably should be doing something else, to be quite honest. But I have a great deal of fun doing 3D. Whether it's, you know, tutorial work or commercial, doesn't really matter. It should be enjoyable. Okay, let's bring this down. And then up a bit. Not that much, dear me. Let's have a look and see how we did. Yeah, that looks fine. Click. Remember, I'm doing by eye. Good thing is each of these individual parts would be quite easy to texture as well. And of course you can have great fun if you wanted to, taking them into Mudbox or whatever and making them madly over detailed. Pardon me. Oh, I've got some pop. I didn't see it. Delicious. Right. For this one, I just really need to bring it down, probably from here, for the end caps. Make sure I've got the right bit. Because what I'm going to do in a moment is I'm going to basically put the other half of the building on it, and we're going to move all the blocks that we have so far into position, and then we can start, you know, getting the next bits that we need and putting those in as our modular units and so on. Okay, extrude, here we go. So messy. There we are. Und here. Und ist done. Okay, and that gives us this shape, obviously, which should be overhanging on the top and is excellent. Let's just bring it in. Now for this one, I'm going to put it in from an angle rather than the top view, just so I can make sure it slots into position correctly. Because I don't want it to intersect, just so I know it's in the right place. And then just move it down on single axle. There we go. Like so. And that gives us this shape so far. Okay, let's just apply our basic materials to these. There we are. This makes it a bit easier for me to see them that way, you see. Okay, move our brick template over here for the moment. And I was saying that we're not going to be using layers so much, but I think probably now it's time to. So I'm going to go into my Manage Layers box and start creating some layers. So first of all, I'm going to have our buttresses, and I'm going to put those into a new group. So I need to create a new group for that. And I'm going to rename it buttresses, and now they're in buttresses. I'm going to create another group called tools. Like that. And then I'm going to create this group here, which I'm going to call scaffold. I don't need to rename it, it's just our default one. And that's what our scaffold's in. Okay, now the good thing about this is now it means that I can just hide off our tools because we're not using them at the moment. And I'm just going to apply symmetry to our bunker itself. Just wait for that. There we go, and make sure obviously it's on the correct axis. And then just collapse it. Or not. You don't even really need to collapse the stack on this, because it is literally just what do you call it? A scaffold. We're not modelling directly onto it. Okay, so we've got these parts here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to rotate them. I've got angle snap-on still, you'll see. So if I hold down Shift while I'm doing it, 180 degrees. And now I can put these over here. Just make sure they're in the correct position. There we go. And now over here, I can turn this one around, just obviously shift 90 degrees. Go into my top view again. Just drag it straight over to there. And now over here, this one. Now you'll notice that this one will need to be mirrored. So I'm going to show you some of the pitfalls of mirroring. Okay, we could also use symmetry, but more or less the same thing's going to happen. So if I click mirror, and make sure there's a copy. Okay, and we can just drag our copy into place. Now it hasn't mirrored on the correct axis. We want it to mirror on the correct axis, don't you? Which I believe is the y-axis. Now if I drag it down and into place straight away, which is approximately there, and zoom in on it, you'll see it looks normal and it looks absolutely fine, yeah? However, the problem we have with this is that if I then convert to edible poly, well it already is, if I then reset my X form, it's gone black. And that's because, as this is a mirror copy, all the normals are inverted. So what we have to do now is just collapse the stack, which means converting to an editable polygon. Select the entire piece and just click flip. And that will turn them around the right way again. So that's one of the things you have to watch out for, obviously, when you're doing this. Alright, so let's have a look and see what we've covered here. We've got our 2, 4, 6, 8 buttresses. And what we're going to need to do next is probably start creating these pieces here. Okay, because obviously our wings of the building are going to need to be separated out and developed. So, in the next part we'll do that, and in the meantime, thanks for watching.